Yo, what up, dudes? All right, so this is going to be a different format. I know if you've been listening to me, following me, whatever, I'm pretty sure you know that I like to switch things up from time to time. So I'm just recording this on an audio recorder. I was going to do a little walk on the beach while recording, but it's too windy right now. So I'll have to do that like in the morning, as I'm sure you guys care so much about. But the reason why you're hearing this and the reason why I'm recording this is more so for personal benefit. This is like a diary journal entry log for my baseball pitcher career, because I want to talk about this and I want to just put a lot of thoughts out loud. And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure some other people can benefit from this as well. So I need to give you context, and then we'll see where it goes after I provide the context. So the context is yesterday was game 3 of our playoff series. We were up 2-0 in the series, best of 7. It's first round. Winner advances to the Puerto Rican Championship Series. So I had a fill-in spot start, I guess, type opener deal, because I've been a reliever this entire season. And this was, I want to say, 2 weeks ago for a double header, because we had a starter go down, then we had another starter go down, blah, blah, blah. And I opened it because I'm a starter during the summer season. So our manager was like, all right, you're used to the dynamic, just go out there. So first time I went out, 2 innings. Second time I did it again, 2 innings. And then the third time I did it was the last game of the regular season. I ended up going 4 innings. So throwing well. He was like, hey, you're going to start game 3. I was like, all right. The biggest thing that I did not want to do going into like the game 3 start was get into this mindset. I like joke about this hashtag starter Rob thing, but it really is a mindset for me, and it's a drastically different mindset that I have for hashtag reliever Rob. What I didn't want to get into in game 3 of this playoff series was to get in that starter mindset where I don't know how to explain this. I tried my best to explain this on multiple podcasts already, but there's just a different intent. There's a different mentality. As a bullpen guy, for me, I'm coming in, I'm not really thinking. I'm just like, all right, this is my stuff. This is my strengths. I don't care who's hitting. Don't care who's on base. I'm just going to go. And I'm gonna just floor it, right? Floor the throttle and just go. And I think that's where I'm at my best. Obviously, that type of physical exertion isn't sustainable for a starter. So what happens is when I start is I get in this kind of, I'm going to use the word passive, but I don't know if that's the right word, because I don't believe that I'm like, when I'm in the moment, I don't believe I'm passive. But it is somewhat of considered for me personally that a more of a passive aggressive mentality. Like, I didn't do it my first 3, quote unquote spot starts here. I did a good job of just like, all right, I'm a reliever. Just try to put myself in this state of mind in which I'm just coming into a game as I would as a reliever, but it was just the first inning, whatever. And then this game 3 start, I kind of built it up and hyped it up in my head. Because like I said, I went 4 innings last time. I hyped it up in my head like, oh, I'm a starter. I went from the wind-up, first pitch of the game. I had a longer pregame routine. There was these things that I did that was very starter-ish. And what happened was I got into that starter mindset. Now, that's the context. I'll talk about the dynamic and what actually occurred, which is didn't throw well. And the reason why I would believe that I didn't throw well, it's not that my stuff wasn't as good as it had been. It wasn't that I didn't, command my pitches. Obviously, there's always a necessary give the other opposing team some credit. Obviously, you got to do that. But what I found myself kind of when I got taken out of the game, and as I was sitting there just kind of being mindful of everything that happened and all the events that occurred, I realized, like, frick, dude, I did the exact thing that I didn't want to do. I got into that starter mentality where, I first pitch of the game was a fastball middle, and it was a single. Guy barreled it. Okay, whatever. But second pitch of the game, second hitter, I missed. It was a pretty competitive pitch down. So I was 1-0. The very next pitch, so pitch 3 overall, was another hit, fastball, hit to right. So within 3 pitches of the game, I'm first and second, no outs. Now, before we move on to the actual entire inning and how it all unfolded, as I look back at it and I reflect, I realize that it's not an accident. Now, put me in that situation and say it's the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, my mentality, my mindset's going to be drastically different. Whereas that mindset that I had as a starter was, for example, first pitch of the game, okay, just get it over the plate for a strike, get ahead 0-1, command the fastball, get ahead. Command is obviously important. I'm not saying it's not, but I think the mentality, say if I were like coming out of the pen, was like, I'm going to blow this fastball by this guy with so much conviction. And it's not that I didn't have conviction in the pitch that got hit, but it was just more of a passive aggressive mindset, as I had mentioned to earlier. Now, go to like the next hit. All right, so I fall behind 1-0. I make a quality pitch, 0-0. Don't get the call. It's down. Okay, whatever. Now I'm 1-0. Now looking at this mindset, looking at this mentality for this 1-0 pitch is going to be drastically different for me yesterday in that start in comparison to kind of all my outings out of the pen when, not so much a like super passive, timid type mentality where I'm like 1-0 and I'm like, oh man, don't throw another ball here because then it'll be 2-0, right? It was still like, okay, I'm 1-0. Let me just throw this fastball, arm side down. It was a lefty hitter. So arm side down. Obviously got to throw a strike. Maybe he pulls it, or maybe he tries to yank it, and we get a 4-6-3. Now, looking at, again, the mentality for myself that I know works with that aggressive foot on the gas pedal type dynamic, it's 1-0. I don't care. I'm probably either going to go a fastball elevated, not care if I don't get the call or don't get the swing, or I'm going to go straight to an off-speed pitch, coming out of the pen in a 1-0 count, because obviously you got to have confidence in your secondary pitches behind it counts. Instead, there's this starter-esque idea, mentality, mindset, whatever, that's like, oh, don't show him the off-speed pitch yet. Establish the fastball, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad kind of approach or game plan to have, but understanding when I'm at my best and what I do to be at my best, and obviously not matching those things up. So then after that, I thought the rest of the outing was fine. There's 2 more singles, a 6-hopper up the middle on a well-executed slider. There was a bloop single to left, again on a well-executed slider. But the thing that I was sitting there, I caught myself, I even sent a tweet out this morning. I caught myself yesterday talking to someone about the outing, and I was saying like, yep, 12 or what is it now, 11 years, 12 years, or 11 years, I guess, into professional baseball, and I'm still learning. I caught myself saying that, and I immediately took it back. And I had some more time to reflect on that kind of topic or that phrase a little bit more, and I was like, no, I'm not still learning. And no, I don't know everything. Obviously, people that aren't learning probably have a pretty good idea. But there's things that, that come up that I say that I'm still learning, but it's not that I'm still learning them. I've already learned them multiple occasions. I've already learned them multiple times throughout my journey. And I've always done, not always, but recently in the last 5 years, 6 years, I've done a really good job of being extremely mindful for opportunities of growth through failure, right? So there's a lot of things that I've learned. And this particular dynamic that we're referring to within this entire kind of conversation here is something that I've 100% have learned. It's 100% have gone through multiple times. And we're back. Whoa, sorry. Buddy just came in the room. But what I was saying, referring to these learning concepts, is I've done a really good job of being mindful of growth opportunities, and through those growth opportunities, you obviously take, the good and the bad, and you say, okay, how can I improve? How can I grow? How can I, take all of these kind of, it's all just information, right? Like every kind of day you accumulate new information on things. And how can I take all of that and then become the better version of myself moving forward? So for me, and this is what I tweeted, was that for me, it's not necessarily about like the learning. It's not about the putting myself in those opportunities and those situations and circumstances to learn. It's about, okay, I've learned X, Y, and Z. Now, how can I apply it? and it's the application of those learning processes, right? So, excuse me. Now, this becomes the part in this kind of audio in which I just think out loud. So as soon as I sent the tweet, I was like sitting there thinking, okay, well then what is it? What does the application look like? Because again, and this is where I think, a lot of people can benefit from listening to this thing in terms of just the mindfulness of it. So, okay, application of areas in which I've experienced things, learned things. So, for example, this mentality, this mindset, passive aggressive mindset mentality, for me personally as a pitcher, is not the most optimal approach towards accomplishing the goal of getting everyone that steps in that box out, right? And I know that through trial and error, essentially, the experience of it, right? So I think it was the 2021 recap podcast that I did. I talked about how, I love starting, but I know for a fact that like I'm just a better reliever. And there's also this kind of concept that I actually gravitate like towards wanting to start more because of the challenge and the fact that I haven't quite fully applied all of these learning concepts, which is a challenge in that excites me to do so, because I believe I can. So now the question becomes, okay, how? All right, so you accumulate all of this information, you accumulate all of this insight, which is a growth process in general. Okay, so now what do I got to do using this type of example next time? Say that this opportunity comes around, which I do get a start. Okay, and this upcoming summer season in 2022, I will be a starter. So this is good for me too. I think it's a mindfulness thing. I think it's an in the moment being mindful of these extremely like apparent dynamics. Okay. And it's not necessarily saying like all those things that I did wrong, right? Like the first pitch fastball, just like middle, the 1-0 fastball, just kind of like, all right, just throw this one over for a strike, get back into the count. That's not like saying that in that particular mindset in general, that mentality in general is wrong. It's just not the best for me. And I know that through all of these years and all of these experiences. So what does that look like moving forward? Like I said, it's a mindfulness thing for me in the moment, because we can all be mindful when the lights are off and, no one's in the box, and we can kind of be mindful of certain things in bullpens or whatever that we want to work on. It's a totally different dynamic when someone's in the box, lights are on, people are cheering, there's something on the line, right? That mindfulness kind of goes away and you get in fight or flight mode. So I think something that I'm going to start doing for this upcoming starter season is not only like write things down after outings, but before outings too. And kind of use that as something that is going to keep these ideas on the front of my mind. And it's not anything related to like scouting report, opposing team, opposing hitters, anything like that. It's going to be all me. And it's like, okay, write this down. Don't be passive aggressive. Compete with conviction every single pitch, so on and so on. And before I go out to warm up onto the field, read all of these things. And I think that's going to be something that helps keep it on like the front of my mind. Because as I mentioned, when you get in competition, these ideas kind of you just lose them, and you get in fight or flight mode, and you're just like, all right, like, here we go, right? I think that's something I'll keep you guys posted on that, but I think it's a really good idea for me moving forward. I do really well with like writing things down and then retaining what I have written down. I was like that in school too. Like if I couldn't remember something, I just like write it down 4 times in a row and then be like, boom, there it is. Got it. All right, perfect. So that's going to be something I'm going to do moving forward is you learn all of these things. The application of those things learned is a totally different dynamic, and you need to be extremely intentional and diligent within that approach of application. So that's what I got. Hopefully you can maybe take something out of that. Maybe it works. What I don't want you to take out of this is like, oh man, that mindset that he has is the mindset that I have. Like, that's wrong. It's not. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say one thing is wrong, one thing is right. It's about what is right for you as the individual, and it's your responsibility to identify that through trial and error, man, through experience, through repetitions. I've been playing this game for quite some time, even though I still feel like I'm 18, right? So learning is one thing. Applying what you have learned is a totally different dynamic, and it's not just going to happen on accident. I think it is an intentional process. Okay, and that goes with anything that happens throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a season. Another good example that we probably could include into this podcast actually was me holding runners yesterday. Like as a starter, that's an extremely important task. Holding runners, being quicker to the plate, incorporating a slide step, so on and so forth. Having a slide step for a breaking ball and a fastball, like stuff like that I wasn't really equipped to do yesterday, and therefore they took advantage of it. That's another thing that could be written down and be applied within my background work, bullpen work, so on and so forth. So very, very little things like that. I think every game, every opportunity that you get to play this game is an opportunity to continue to grow, right, as a player. And it's our responsibility to at least put ourselves in the best possible position to have growth. And it's not just something that just happens on accident. All right, so if you're listening to this and you really want this thing, you really want, to be good, and you really want to perform to the best of your ability, I think these are some of the things that it takes. All right, much love. As always, God bless. Thanks for listening. I will be having a new vlog coming out really soon, so be locked in on my YouTube channel for that. Also, getting really close to this conclusion, this finish. Finally, I can see the finish line on my book. So therobbyrowshow.com/ebooks. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's already out. That'd be sick. I'm also going to throw up all my outings on YouTube. The date in which I'm recording this is January 10th. I'm hoping to get all those outings up and release them maybe like once a week. The only reason I haven't done that this year is I didn't want to do anything in which compromised, scouting reports, or I guess everything's out there already, but that will all be on my YouTube channel, and some of the things that I'm going to be doing now on my YouTube channel are going to be for subscribers only, so better hit that button. I sound like a YouTuber now. That's dope. All right, guys. God bless. Much love. Talk to you next time. See ya.